noon hour is here.
Check it out.
And you're locked on to Utah's highest rated, most listened to sports radio station.
It's my station.
It's my station.
This is Hans Olsen and Scotty G on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Hey, let's get it. It's a Thursday. Hans and Scotty, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone, which means it is a Frank Dolce day. We can't even call it a Ute Preview Show. No, it's a Frank Dolce day.
It's just Frank.
Because Frank just takes over, and whatever Frank wants to talk about is what we talk about.
We got out of the way of Frank.
Yeah. But no, we will break down the Utes. In fact, it's a pretty Ute-heavy show. Chris Level, sideline reporter for Texas Tech, will join us.
Oh.
Coming up at 30 minutes from now.
And what we're going to do is get to the
meat of
bottom of everything.
Because there was some comments attributed to Chris Level.
And the comment was something along the lines of, we'll go into Rice-Eccles Stadium and get the win.
Yeah.
Rice-Eccles. There was a lot of Buffalo snorts.
It's a cute little stadium they got there.
Yeah. Rice-Eccles? What are we talking about? Eccles? So we'll get to the bottom of this. I mean, we've heard that there's been some editing.
Yes. Some unfortunate editing.
And he's not happy about it?
He's not happy at all. Because that's the thing. We've talked to Chris. I remember talking to Chris back in the Matt Wells days. And Chris always seemed like a level-headed, fair guy. And so when these comments came out, I'm like, that doesn't sound like our guy. And apparently it was not.
So let me just explain to people why this is not okay. And Scotty and I know it extremely well.
Yes.
I know it better than Scotty because I get in more trouble than Scotty. But when you're a part of a university's broadcast,
yes,
and you open up your stupid mouth, or even worse, you don't open up your stupid mouth, somebody just takes your mouth and twists it.
Yeah, makes it stupid for you.
Yep, you get a couple calls. You get a call from a coaching staff member. Sometimes you get a call from the administration.
Yes.
The front office departments. And sometimes you get a call from your co-host. And sometimes you get...
Not this co-host.
And, you get a talking to.
Yeah.
And when you didn't say what it sounds like maybe he didn't say, or in the way he said it, or the way it was compiled... Yeah, you could be very, very angry about that.
That's the one thing that and Lloyd will always jump at me and he'll send me a text when he sees me getting sideways with somebody on Twitter. And he's like, hey, bro, put the phone down. Put the phone down. And that's the one thing that will get me. If you want to troll me on Twitter, the one thing you do is misquote something I said. And say, like, did you listen to the show today? Scott said this, and this. I'm like, no. Look, I say enough dumb things on my own. Don't put words into my mouth. And
just take the dumb ones I
just
said
take
and
the
use
dumb
those.
ones. You run with those. I'll own the dumb stuff I say. Just don't misquote what I said. And that's the one thing that'll get me sideways real quick, because that's the thing. Like we have a lot of really good relationships out there. And if you listen to the show, I would like to think we're as connected as any show in the state, by far. And we've got a lot of really good people that we lean on for information. And if those people think that we did something, if we burn them, or if we did something irresponsible, it would really be rough for us.
It would.
And I do not want that out there in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
Because I'd rather sit on stuff and just continue to have good relationships with people than to be like, ooh, guess what? High noon, we're going to break this story and this story and this story. I've done that in the past. It's not worth it.
It's not worth it.
It's not worth it at all.
What is worth it is when the story breaks and you actually have the backstory.
Yes.
And you can add the facts.
Yes.
And some accuracy. And you can say, well, yeah, this is boiling over, but understand this came from these two things, and this is why it's happening.
Yes.
But excited to talk with Level and just see how exactly that went and how he feels about Rice-Eccles Stadium, because I have a feeling it's going to be a tough place to go get a win on Saturday morning.
Yeah. 10 a.m. or 10 p.m., doesn't matter. That place is going to be hopping.
I'm so glad it's a 10 a.m. kick. I do love the Utah 10 a.m.s and the BYU 5:30 or later, which, by the way, fits into a Greg Wrubell night category.
Oh.
Is that right?
Yeah, it does. Because
what did he say? I can't remember.
That it is dark by the time the game comes to an end.
Okay. Well, it kicks at 5:30.
So it could be light when it starts, but as long as it's dark when it ends. Oh, by the way, I got to respond. He texted me. I never did respond to him.
Is that about me?
No.
Okay,
it was because because I was joking afterwards when he was like, "Is that good enough for you? Is that good?" And I was like, "Yeah." And then he sent me a nice text and said, "Hey, I didn't mean anything aggressive by that." And I'm sure. And I was like,
people don't understand actually how big of a sweetheart
he really is. He's the nicest, most gentlemanly person on the planet.
It's a gigantic sweetheart.
Outside of knifing me about going to Boise and
he will get his needling in.
Yeah.
And sometimes he'll needle me and I don't even realize it. And then I'll get a tweet later like, "Did you ever realize he took a shot at you?" You're like, no. But now I do. Because I thought he was just a sweet guy.
How you doing, buddy? You doing good?
I'm doing fantastic. And, I've been putting together quarterback numbers. We went into this Big 12 season touting the quarterbacks. And I really felt like through the first 3 weeks, I felt like we'd have probably 5 Big 12 quarterbacks in the top 25 in most categories for quarterback play. And I was a little bit shocked. You got 3 in the top 25. And here's the nice thing. You've got 3 Big 12 quarterbacks in the top 10. But you got to go all the way down to number 44 to find the 4th, which is Noah Fafita. Right now, Noah Fafita is the 4th most productive by yards per game as a quarterback in the conference. And that's why yesterday, you were talking about Arizona yesterday. And I kind of was like, yeah. And you're like, no, really, dude. And I'm like, yeah, dude, Iowa State, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, no, dude.
Dude.
You're right. Noah Fafita is, right now, he's productive. And I do believe that he and Brennan needed a year.
Yes. Yep.
And I do believe that Arizona needed to go get a couple of targets. They need to go get a couple of receivers, which they've done. And I don't think we can just dismiss Arizona. You're right. I don't think we can dismiss them. We just need to watch, just see if they answer the bell on a couple of these big games that they've got coming up. But then number 47, so your 5th, in terms of yards per game, your 5th quarterback in the Big 12 is Traven Jackson, UCF quarterback. Your 6th is Jalen Daniels at Kansas. 7th is Brendan Sorsby at Cincinnati. And just to give you an idea of where he sits, he's 6th as the number 60th quarterback in the country in yards per game. But number 7 in the Big 12. You've got Rocco Becht at number 62, and you've got Devon Dampier at number 69. Which he is the 10th in terms of yards per game, the 10th quarterback in the Big 12. Stacked inside there, Bryson Barnes, Utah State quarterback. He sits at number 51 in the country. So Bryson's getting his run game and his throw game together. If you took Bryson's collective rushing and passing yards, I'm sure it would.
Oh, yeah. He may
bump him.
Top 25, top 30.
That'd be my guess.
Yeah.
And then the one that I think pertains to BYU fans right now is Caden Hauser, the ECU quarterback, number 6 quarterback in the country in yards per game at 324 yards per game. And he's got 973 overall, 5 touchdowns, 1 interception. So, Scotty, and I know we got Utah preview coming up. We'll start at 1 o'clock, and it'll be all Utah from there on out. But, Scotty, so I watched a lot of film, ECU film this morning. I watched ECU Coastal Carolina. And I'm watching Coastal Carolina's abysmal. They're terrible. And so I started to change my mind. Like, maybe ECU's just got the benefit of the throw game against terrible corners. And maybe this is more of an opponent issue than it is ECU having a great passing game. And then I flipped on ECU NC State. And ECU's passing game was getting NC State in areas even more than Coastal Carolina. I don't know. I think against NC State, I want to say they were 350 plus in the passing game. I could pull it up really quick. I think ECU had. Yeah, I got it right here, Scotty. ECU had 383 yards passing against NC State.
All right.
So I got done with the Coastal Carolina film. I'm like, oh, this is just a trash. This is a trash team with trash defensive backfield. Well, I don't know exactly how to feel about NC State's backfield, but NC State is 3-0. They've got wins over Virginia, and against Virginia threw for 250 yards against NC State, which is a good high number. Then they beat Wake Forest 34-24, and Wake Forest had 252 yards receiving against NC State. So I'm like, maybe NC State isn't the best in their defensive backfield. Maybe.
Could be.
And so maybe ECU has seen an ACC team that struggles in their defensive backfield, an FCS team, and then a very bad Coastal Carolina team that's in their defensive backfield. So right now, Caden Hauser is throwing for 324 yards per game. I think he struggles to get to 220 yards against BYU. That's what I see visibly from film to expectation. 324, I think he struggles to get past 220 against BYU's defense. I think he's going to be harassed, and I think that, and I think BYU's making a couple of adjustments. We've seen Evan Johnson's just been a mainstay at the corner. Tanner Wall, a mainstay at the safety. Falatal Satawala against Stanford was electric. He was just electric. Therian Alexander was awesome. So I think that we're going to start to see some of those pieces progress in the defensive backfield. And I think BYU, I'm feeling more and more confident that BYU can take care of ECU after the film I watched this morning.
And you say that we don't care about offensive line play. Let me ask you this. How good was ECU in protecting the quarterback? Not just sacks, but pressures. And is that one of the reasons why they were able to be so dangerous in the passing attack? Because, we've complained about BYU not getting sacks, but one thing they have done over the Jay Hill era, they may not be able to finish the deal with sacks, but they sure have gotten pressures with this Jay Hill defense. And if they pressure this quarterback, that's what I think is going to be really interesting to see how he handles maybe a level of pressure that he's not used to getting game in and game out in the first few games of the year.
Okay, so to that point, ECU does protect the quarterback well, and has.
But that might be because of who they played.
Through 3 games, they've given up 1 sack. They're one of the top in the country.
Yeah.
3 games, 1 sack. And, you've put my mind to work here for a second. I watched about 15, 20 minutes of Coastal Carolina. There was not a pressure that I can remember. And I watched about 15, 20 minutes of NC State. And I don't remember there being a ton of heat, Scotty. So he sits in a pocket. Coastal Carolina, they rushed 3 a lot. Coastal Carolina dropped 8.
Yeah.
And rushed 3. So you can understand why Coastal isn't getting the pressure. NC State consistently brought 4.
I'm just looking at...
Was my number right?
Yeah, no, you're
Okay.
right. They gave up 5 quarterback hurries against NC State. And you're right, only 1 sack.
That was against NC State.
Against NC State. No hurries against Campbell, and 3 against Coastal Carolina. 3 for a whole game. Quarterback hurries. It's
nothing.
a ridiculous
that's
low
ridiculous.
number.
Yeah. So I know I keep going back to the Colorado game last year. Colorado's offensive front was not good. I think it was a mix. I think they were good at times, but I think it was a mix. And Jay Hill put together a game plan to just harass Shedeur. He wanted to hit Shedeur.
Yeah.
And he did. And my guess is they'll put together something like that for ECU. That's why I just feel like 220, I feel like that's the right number. I think they're going to struggle to get over 220 yards. I think BYU is going to beat them up pretty good. Coastal Carolina tried to zone them out a lot. They didn't try to get physical with the receivers. You know, everybody's talking to me about the ECU speed on the outside. And so when I went into film like, I want to see the burners. I didn't see the burners. You know what I saw was two tight ends that were more productive than anything on the outside. I think that ECU's got two tight ends that I think are way more nasty than anything else we're going to see. So, which by the way, they're really good tight ends.
Yeah. They play a lot of that 12 personnel.
They do. They do a lot. Offset shotgun 12. But BYU's main concern were the tight ends against Stanford, and they wiped the tight ends off the earth.
Yeah. Yeah, they took them completely out of the game.
Wiped them off the earth. And, you know, BYU stops Stanford, whatever it was, 9 rushing yards.
Yeah.
Stanford goes and rushes for 235 against Boston College the next week. So I think just from what I read, what I put together statistically, and then what I view, I think we know more about BYU's defense than we really know about ECU's offense. And because of what I know about BYU's defense, I feel comfortable saying that they'll keep ECU at 220 yards through the air or less. ECU can't win if that's the case. The only way ECU really beats BYU is with 285 to 320 yards passing, 3 or 4 yards touchdown through the air, because the run game is going to struggle to break 100. If Jay decides that he wants to stop the run game. So that's kind of where I see ECU. Now, here's the interesting point. I do believe BYU is going to have to pass for over 200 yards in order to beat ECU. And they have not broke the 200-yard mark yet this year.
Nope.
They had 135-ish against Portland State and 175-ish against Stanford, somewhere in there. They have not broke 200. I think they're going to have to break 200 in order to beat ECU. Because I do think
they're going to sell out against the run?
I do think ECU is going to sell out against the run. And I saw them doing that against NC State, and they were pretty decently successful against NC State. They held NC State to 105 yards rushing. And they're holding teams to 58 yards rushing, you know, if you take all three into consideration. And, you know, just looking at common opponent, NC State went and rushed for 250 yards against Virginia, and NC State went and rushed for 210 yards against Wake Forest. ECU held them to 100. NC State has their initial push is to run. And they broke a couple hundred against Wake Forest and Virginia and just barely snuck over 100 against ECU. So my guess is, because, Scotty, it's like what we said about Stanford defensively. Make Bear Bachmeier beat me.
Yeah.
My guess is ECU can do that better than Stanford can. And so that means Bear Bachmeier is going to have his first 200-yard-plus passing game in order for BYU to get the win. And I think therein lies the numbers. Keeping ECU under 220 and going over 200 yourself in the passing game. If you take those two numbers at the end of this and they equate to that, BYU wins. If you take those two numbers and ECU's over 220 and BYU's under 200, that's an ECU win.
It's that simple. All right, Hans and Scotty right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Nobody gets you ready for Utah football more than the KSL Sports Zone.
Ready?
Kyle Whittingham and the Utes open up Big 12 play with a huge game against Texas Tech. Catch a special Ute edition of College Football Saturday starting at 8 a.m. Your home for the best coverage of Utah football is right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. This is Hans Olsen and Scotty G, presented by Mountain Land Supply on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Hans and Scotty, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Joining us now, sideline reporter and overall good dude for Texas Tech, Chris Level, kind enough to carve out a few moments for us. He's also the publisher of Red Raider Sports. Chris, how you doing, man?
Hey, Chris.
Gentlemen, how we doing today?
Very, very good.
All right, we're doing great. First off, we need to clear the air here because people are saying that you said some stuff,
Lord.
but I think it may have been doctored a little bit. So the time is yours, Chris, to make the clarifications you feel necessary.
Well, I did say some stuff, and it was edited. How about that? Because I did a show about a week and a half ago, and I was asked about contenders in the league at this point. So this is before Tech had played Oregon State, before Utah had played Wyoming. And I think the point I was trying to make was like, we don't know anything about these two teams. And I really was kind of trying to lay the groundwork. Like, I don't know if we'll find out a bunch more coming up. And I said Texas Tech could go up to Utah and thump them, or Texas Tech could go up to Utah and get thumped. But guess what part, was shared everywhere. Yeah. And I did, yes. And so I mean, I'm not. I don't roll that way. I'm not trolling. I'm not trying to do. That's just not what I do. We try to keep it professional. So, and then I also misspoke in the same thing, which has also been picked up. I put a B and said Rice-Eccles 2 times before I realized my mistake. I corrected it on the show, apologized, and so everybody's kind of had a field day with that I didn't say Rice-Eccles. And again, it was an honest mistake. I botched it. I've owned it. I've admitted it, and I wasn't trying to be anyway. But yeah, that's the end. You're caught up.
Well, Chris, you and I go back to the old Matt Wells days there at Texas Tech, and I've known you forever. And so when these things started popping up on Twitter, I'm like, that doesn't sound like Chris,
And that's not what
because you're a pro's pro. And here's the thing, like we screw up names all the time. The Rice-Eccles thing, I don't give two what's about that. But yeah, it's good to see that that's clarified because frankly, the last thing you want to do when you're around a broadcast of a team, and Hans does BYU and I do Utah State, is provide any kind of locker room or bulletin board material for the team that your team's playing against.
Right. Yeah, and I there's some nameless, faceless Utah fan Twitter accounts that have had a lot of field day with this. And anyway, and I dealt with it mostly last week. Like I was getting all these people contacting me in my mentions and all this stuff. And I was like, I don't even know what's going on here. And then before I realized what had happened, and it's unfortunate. I've tried to answer every interview request, whether it's podcast or a radio interview like this one. You guys are awesome. And I remember talking to you guys, and it's funny you mentioned Matt Wells. I texted with him 2 days ago, and he's still good people. They're obviously struggling in Manhattan, but he's good people. And I had nothing but a wonderful experience when we went to BYU 2 years ago. I think they've been one of the best additions to the Big 12 conference. So yeah, I mean, anyway, I hate that's how this was portrayed, but that's not, because I have nothing but respect for Utah and what Coach Whittingham has done and all the things. But anyway, hey, people take their football seriously, so hey, that part is good, because this is the Utah fan base is clearly fired up, and then that's obviously a good thing for the league.
Well, Chris, I want to fill you in a little bit because we're a tested community. The state of Utah is very touchy about their college football. And at one point in time, Chris, we had 3 fully staffed sports radio stations operating for essentially 2, but really 3 college football teams between BYU, Utah, and Utah State. And it keeps the lights on, and our football fans are crazy. And I will tell you, Chris, it's kind of crazy. I feel like we're all still in the dating stage in this new conference. Like, learning about each other and learning who's got the hot head and who's got the big mouth and who's got the ego. And Texas Tech right now, it's all been highlighted because they went out, they bought some talent, and it seems like they bought some great talent. Talk about all the talk about the purchasing and the talent that Texas Tech got. And has it been overinflated like a lot of these stories are?
Yeah, I mean, that's certainly – I think Texas Tech was maybe there's a variety of ways that you can look at this. They were very transparent, and I think they wanted to tell their story. Have the numbers been inflated? Absolutely. I've been asked, so you spent $55 million on your football program? Well, no. They spent $55 million in total on the athletic department, but that also includes rev share. So they basically spent – $30-something million on football, basketball, softball, and all the other things. And this was back before the rules changed. And then they probably were on the high end compared, but they weren't the only ones. We know what Oregon's doing and Ohio State's doing and Ole Miss is doing and Texas A&M is doing and Texas is doing. I just think Texas Tech was more transparent with what they were doing. I think they were, whether they were trying to create a buzz or just being asked questions and answering them honestly, but it's kind of taken on a life of its own for sure. And I think I think they're a buzzy team. I think there's probably a target on their back in some ways. I think some people were envious. Some people were jealous. Some people were I think some people said, hey man, these are the rules. They're playing by them. Like, I respect it. Because everybody's got wealthy donors. That every institution in the country at the Power 4 level has wealthy donors. They just had, and I'll tell you where a lot of this came from, guys, is that they are fairly embarrassed around here by having never made an appearance in the Big 12 title game. And they got so close last year. Had they beaten Colorado in mid-November, they would have punched their ticket and played in Arlington for the Big 12 title for the very first time. And I think because they didn't win that game and they fell one game short, I think there was a lot of motivation here. And so it just makes you wonder if they'd have played for the Big 12 championship last year, if you wouldn't have had this kind of off season. I mean, I don't know if we know that, but I think they were very motivated, which has led to it. But it's being motivated because they have failed over the last, since Mike left. Really, it's been up and down. And Coach Wells had some good and some bad. Cliff Kingsbury had some good and some bad. Tommy Tuberville had some, but they just haven't been able to sustain it. And Joey got him really close last year, and so that's where I think in total where a lot of this comes from. But their funds were motivated. How about that? And it's because they haven't gotten to where they wanted to go.
So 3 games, 3-0, all 3 lopsided victories. Oregon State's about the only team that you could look at and say, okay, well, that's at least got some name recognition, but we know they're struggling and they're in a bad spot. How much do you actually know about this team right now after the first 3 games?
These were glorified scrimmages, really. I mean, and the other oddity here is that in 2 of the 3, there was a lengthy rain delay in both of them, which also adds this weird layer to, it's the rain delay in football is just a tricky deal because got to warm up again, got to rev it up again, got to get excited again, and the whole thing. You gear up for this game at this time and everything. You're training toward the kickoff, and then it's like, okay. I mean, last week it was 2.5 minutes into the game, and then everybody sat around for 2.5 hours. I think it was 2 hours 24 minutes. Which is it's a mess. But they came out, took care of business. I would say that there's nothing that was said or written about their team to this point that I could dispute. However, because I think people think they're pretty good, and I have nothing that I've seen that would suggest to me that they can't be pretty good if they aren't very good. But we don't ultimately know. It's all about context. Beating up on Kent State and UAPB and Oregon State, man, they had better athletes than the first 2 teams, but they're a bit of a mess. And I feel sorry for what's happened with Oregon State and Washington State being kind of left out of this deal. It's just unfortunate, but I just don't know if you can glean too much from that. And I think that both teams can probably say the same thing this weekend because I think that you'll both get the first real test in a lot of ways, and there's probably things that either coach doesn't necessarily know about his team or maybe assume that they did know that they're going to find out was not the case.
Is Baron Martin the real deal?
Barron is very good. I think that the knock on him has been, can he stay healthy? And last year he played all 12 regular season games, but did so with kind of not a healthy shoulder, and so he lacked arm strength, and he was pretty good. I think he would be the first one to tell you I need to play better, but a lot of that just has to do with his arm strength. He's played flawless at this point. Again, it's about context. He should be. He's got legit weapons around him. I mean, this is part of what they brought in. They've got, I think they feel very strongly about 3 really good 6'3" receivers. They brought in a tight end named Terrence Carter that's been a fascinating matchup for everybody to have to deal with. And they still brought back one of their tight ends in John Carlos Miller. And if he has time, he'll be a problem. And if he gets pressured, he'll make, a mistake, I mean, that's just with most quarterbacks, but this is a grown man. I mean, he's, been in this program for 5 years now, and he's matured and he's healthy. And so I think that he's well aware of the doubters out there. And, when everybody was talking about the best quarterbacks in the league all summer, he wasn't included in a lot of those conversations, even though I think he threw for 27 touchdowns last year and just to 8 interceptions, and led his team to 8 regular season wins. So he's a very motivated young man, and I think he is pretty good. I'm curious to see how far he can take it. I'll say that. But if he doesn't play well Saturday, I don't know if I like their chances.
So what's the vibe there in Lubbock about the Utes? Obviously, last year, not the season they would have liked in their first year in the Big 12, but it does appear Kyle Whittingham has righted the ship, and that defense is playing lights out, and have added a dynamic quarterback in Devon Dampier. So overall, what is the vibe there in what they're anticipating seeing from Utah?
Well, they know they're going to see a dominant offensive line. I think they're everybody around here is very curious about Devon Dampier and knows what a playmaker he is. And I think everybody around here can. And I'm hosting Coach McGuire's radio show tonight, and this is a lot of what we'll talk to him about. Is the defense? How good is it going to be? How does it stack up when you're going against a real line and a real QB that can make you pay if you can't corral him? And if he has time, can he spread it out to some of his weapons and all those kinds of things? But I think everybody around here, because the defense around here last year was not very good. I mean, that's part of what their motivation was with what they were trying to put together. They couldn't get to the quarterback. They were like 122nd in pass defense in the country, so they just scrapped it. Joey made a move with a different coordinator, and they brought in 5 new defensive linemen, and then they brought in 5 new DBs. And so, and I think Sheil Wood, the coordinator who came from Houston, they had a top 25 defense last year, and I think he's kept it fairly simple because he likes his players, and he's like, we don't have to out-scheme anybody here. We're good enough to – but they brought in some folks that are not even starting, that were starters elsewhere in the Big 12 Conference. So like A.J. Holmes is a defensive tackle. He started at Houston last year, and he's a second-string guy right now. That just kind of gives you an idea of some of their depth or what they were trying to put together. So that's the biggest question around here. Is the defense, is it in fact good enough, or is it just pretty good but not quite good enough to go win you a Big 12 title or contend for one?
Well, Chris, thanks for squaring us away with the comments, because we're pretty proud of that Rice-Eccles Stadium here in the state, and it gets wild. They don't need any more fuel on that fire, but this is awesome. I'll tell you, I love this Big 12. I can't even tell you how much I've loved going school to school. I'll be out there in Lubbock this year, so I'll get to shake your hand in that stadium and be on that call opposing you, and that'll be a blast. It's just one of those conferences that I think everybody could love and enjoy, because these are all communities, all schools that just love their college football.
Yeah, it's a great group of college towns. I think that we're still trying to figure out what Cincinnati and UCF are right now. I don't know if they've found their footing yet, but pretty much everybody else has made some news in the right way in either football or men's basketball, whatever it is. But I think this game right here, we're all fighting for relevance. And this game is one of, I don't know how many there will be in the league this year, but this is one of probably fairly few amount that is getting some national recognition, some national attention. And that's good for the Big 12. This is a relevancy battle as much as it is as anything else. But as we sit here in mid-September, there's, legit argument that you could make for 6 or 7, maybe even 8 teams that could win this league. And that's the beauty of it. Some people look at that as a negative, but I think we think it's wildly entertaining. And week to week, it's the best conference in the country because you just don't know what you're going to get.
Chris, you're the best, man. Tell everybody out there hi. Go grab a Whataburger for us, and look forward to catching up with you soon.
Hey, you boys keep hope alive. You're very gracious to me. I appreciate you guys having me on, and we'll see you this weekend.
Love it. Chris Level from the Texas Tech broadcast, also part of Locked On Texas Tech, part of the network there with David Locke's crew as well. Good stuff, man. I knew that guy wouldn't run his mouth like that.
I didn't think so either.
I've been around. I've interviewed him a bunch of times, and I've been on his show. When Matt got the job out there, and it just, I was like, okay, something's funky here. This isn't right.
Didn't sound right.
No.
And but then you hear the audio and the way the audio was trimmed, and you're like, man, I don't know. There's not many fan bases that I don't want to get involved that way with. You know?
Yeah, and Utah's one of them.
Utah's one of them.
When the Utah Twitter mob sinks their teeth in you, it's no bueno.
Bro, Scotty.
Yeah.
Dude, they'll spill your guts.
Yeah, we've both been on the receiving end of that.
They don't care.
No.
And you know, and it's not like they worry about feelings or we're conference mates and we'll just show each other the better side of humanity. And no, man,
I'm friends with a local politician who got sideways with the Utah Twitter, and he's not sports guy at all, and got dragged into something, and he was texting me, and he goes, yeah, this is pretty rough, man. This is, can't wait for this to blow over in a day or so. And I'm like, This isn't like a news cycle where the things change in 24 hours. They got you in their sights. You're going to be there a while. So buckle up.
Hey, Bob.
Turn off those mentions.
You may want to get out in front of this, prepare a statement.
Yeah.
And try to extend an olive branch.
Yeah.
Because they're relentless.
Yeah.
When they don't like you.
Yeah, BYU fans get a bad rap. BYU fans will let you know they're not happy, and then they move on. Utah fans are like the guy with the grudge. They're the John Wick.
Yeah.
They're going to show up at your house at night. I mean, I'm joking when I say that, but you know what I'm proverbially. Yeah.
But the other difference is BYU came into the Big 12 and they're like, hi, we're BYU.
Yeah.
We have a message for you about Jesus Christ. We would love to share that with you.
Can we jump in on a food drive together?
We'll rate, which they're doing at ECU. They're providing food for a food bank. And, man, we're excited and happy to be partners, which, by the way, I love it.
Oh, yeah.
I love that angle because every radio booth that I'm in different stadiums, they're like, boy, you guys sure are great. And it's like, yeah, you're great too. And we shake hands and then we go in the booth and BYU kicks their butt. I see their head drop and Greg and I are like, yeah, that was kind of fun. Handshake, like, hey, we're the fun, smiley guys. And then Kalani and his crew's just whooping butt. Utah comes in and they're like, no, we don't like you.
Yeah.
We don't like the conference.
We don't want to be here.
We're not overly happy about having to travel to Lubbock or anywhere else. We loved the Pac-12. We missed that. And what happened was last year, Utah got a bit of a reality check in the conference. They got embarrassed, and now they feel like they got a product. So now they're just kind of back flexing muscles and saying, what are you going to do about it?
Yeah. And I love how BYU fans are enjoying being the good guy. Because BYU fans forever were the bad guy. Like, oh, yeah, everybody hates BYU. Laramie hates us. Air Force, everywhere we've gone, everybody hates BYU. And now the Big 12, if you poll random fans, they're like, hey, we dig BYU. Yeah, they beat us up pretty good. But as far as the fan base goes, they're great. Utah fans, on the other hand, which, by the way, I love that for Utah fans, too, because they get to be the NWO Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
Coming in and just laying waste to everybody and just be like, you suck, you suck, you suck. Who's next? You suck, too.
Yeah.
And then gets everybody fired up, and then they push back on Utah. I love that we have the good guy, and then we have the heel right here in our backyard.
Yeah. I love it. It is the perfect mix of what you need in the Big 12. And Utah fans, embrace it.
Oh, yeah.
Embrace it because
absolutely.
that's what you came in with, that's the attitude you're taking. Own it. Because if you go on and you win it, then you got all the bragging rights in the world. Like, we won the Big 12. It wasn't as hard as when we won the Pac-12. It's crazy.
Yeah.
BYU fans, it's great. It's just great because everywhere I go, man, they're like, "Oh, you're BYU?" Yeah, if I've got my game day call colors on, "You're BYU." "Oh my gosh, you guys are great." It's like, yeah. Then you kick their butt, and they're like, "Geez, it sure was nice having you in our stadium." It's like, all right, man. Well, we're leaving with your blood.
Yeah. We may have filled your homeless shelter with food, but
we're leaving with blood.
But we're also leaving with a pound of flesh.
It's been fun, and realistically, what I'd love, Scotty, every year, I would love it to be the old WAC or the old Mount West Conference where it's BYU and Utah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And nothing else really matters or exists. That's what I want the Big 12 to become.
Hans and Scotty running late. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Let's go! Complete game coverage of the Cougars is right here on the KSL Sports Zone. The Cougars head east for a huge non-conference showdown against East Carolina. Your home for the best coverage of Cougar football is right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. This is Hans Olsen and Scotty G, presented by Mountain Land Supply on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Woo!
Hans Olsen, Scott Gerard. It's time to get that energy level up. You ready, Hans?
Yes. There's the bucked up.
Let's go.
Scotty's cracking open a bucked up.
It's time to get bucked up.
Yeah, it's delicious.
Which one are you drinking, Scotty?
What was that? The watermelon.
He's got actually. Let me see. Hand me the can. Let me take a look at that can. Oh, that can. Hold on. Where's the name? Oh, right there. It's the Breezy Blast.
Okay, it's got that watermelon taste to it.
Oh. Yeah, the Breezy Blast. It's
Would you like some?
It's kind of a beach cooler.
I like bucked up when I'm going to go do something. If I'm like a day in the office, then bucked up. I need like bucked up light. But if you're going out for like a hike or a bike ride,
if you're going to go run, if you're going to go do loadage,
I mean, this is a test. This is a testimony. Yeah, that stuff really works.
Yeah,
like there is. Yeah. I mean, so if you're going to go work out, if you're going to go for a long ride, if you're going to, then that is your. Or I mean, even if you're going for a long, like, you know, the drive that you take regularly from here up to Logan, which is beautiful. I love Cache Valley.
And
I love going there.
And I can make that drive in my sleep. I do it 2 to 3 times a week.
But
in your sleep.
Is it beautiful when it filters into one lane?
Take a bucked up.
Yeah, by the way, give yourself a little extra time because sardines cut down to one lane.
Why?
I don't know. Somebody got bored and thought, okay, well, let's give somebody a contract and let them tear up a road.
Like they had extra budget, and if you don't use it, you lose it.
Yeah,
so we might as well just close down Sardine Canyon.
Right in the middle of football season.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
You know what's nice, though, is they did clean up the Mantua issue.
Wait, aren't you saying it incorrectly every time you just said it?
Mantua? Mantua?
How do you say it?
Manaway.
How do you say it?
I think it's Manaway.
It is. That's what we said.
That's my hometown.
Yeah, he's from there.
That's how it's said.
That's literally your hometown?
Yeah.
How do you say it?
He's a Box.
What?
He's a Box Elder B.
You grew up in Manaway?
Yeah.
You're one of 8.
Yeah.
Why is that town not more filtered with people? Like it's
rapidly growing.
Because that lake. So is that a fishable lake? Tell me a little bit about that. Because
you go fishing during the summer. You kind of need a kayak to catch anything. Ice fishing is pretty good. I mean, it's nowhere near where you go, right, for ice fishing. But I enjoy ice fishing.
Do you? RoboCop's no longer with us, right? He passed.
I think he just retired.
Oh, did he? Okay. And then they bumped it up to 65 too. So you're not getting hammered with the tickets like you used to.
The 65 was nice.
Yeah.
That was huge.
Would get you.
Oh yeah, that dude. I mean, that's how he paid his salary, right?
They got a percentage of it.
Yeah.
That somehow the city had managed that they get a percentage of the tickets.
Like a commission?
Yes.
You get a commission on the tickets?
A commission on the tickets.
They put on a really nice fireworks show every summer.
I can't believe you're from that little town. I always drive through it. I'm like, I wouldn't mind living here.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's kind of fun little.
Although in the middle of winter, that couldn't be fun.
Yeah, some of the winters get pretty rough, but it's nice up there.
Yeah. All right, there you go. Man Away at 15 update right here on 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone. Hi, Frank.
Hey,
How
guys.
you doing?
Amazing. Thank you.
Anything else you want to detour us with, Frank? Any other conversations? Let's shake the conversations out so we can get to an important Utah-Texas Tech game.
I can't believe what the sideline reporter said. That's outrageous.
Do you want to read the quote?
Inflammatory.
It is inflammatory and it's outrageous.
Hey, as a broadcaster, when you're in the broadcast, did you ever say anything that just lit the other team on fire?
The other team?
Yes. Did you ever become a part of the story?
It was typically, the only things that I ever can remember saying that may have been misconstrued by the opponent were like regular commentary about Laramie, Wyoming.
Oh, yeah. They get sensitive about that.
Yeah. And, it's like brown year-round.
Yeah.
But that's kind of true.
Well, I said so I was doing a Utah State-Wyoming game, and I think this is partly the reason why you and Dave Fox get to make calls, because they used to just take my radio call and put it over a video feed. And then Utah State was playing Wyoming in basketball in Logan, and I said, not only is this Wyoming team having to go home with a loss, they have to go back to Laramie. And then I said something about how Laramie's best viewed in the rearview mirror. I was just laying it on. I was having a blast.
Yeah.
Well, the Wyoming athletic director was listening or watching it.
No.
Yeah.
And
didn't appreciate that.
Well, here's the good news. This state is now Utah State's got to play them one more time. This state is almost officially
done.
Completely separated from Wyoming.
I don't want that to happen.
In all conferences with all teams.
I know. I don't want that to happen. I want Utah. I want the other schools in the state to have to travel to Laramie and play a football game every once in a while. It's like a rite of passage, almost. The only other thing I ever said that was, I don't know if it was even controversial, but we did get some feedback on it, is Utah went down to play at TCU several years ago. And right in the press release you get at TCU, it says there's not a disclaimer. There's a note on the bottom that says, do not refer to TCU as Texas Christian University.
Oh, yeah.
You can say TCU. You can say the Horned Frogs. You can say the Frogs. Please do not call TCU Texas Christian University. So
that's like telling Frank to call them Texas Christian University.
Sharif Shaw and I got this little thing worked out. And so right at kickoff, we go down to Sharif, and poor Bill Marcroft, he wasn't aware what was going on, but I said to Sharif, did you read the press release? And Sharif's like, yeah, I read the press release. And I said, it says right here that we can't call TCU Texas Christian University. What are you going to do? And Sharif said, I'm going to call them the name their mama gave them.
Which is Texas Christian University. That's their given name at birth. Yeah. It's the name that will remain.
Yeah. So well, we got a little feedback on that.
You got some feedback from James Madison fans last year.
Oh, that was Dave Fox. Don't put that on me.
What happened? Whoa, I haven't heard this story.
The Dukes of James Madison. Dave Fox thought he was going to be endearing, and from our perspective, it was, but not. We didn't read the room very well. Dave did.
And who knew that James Madison fans were so first off, existed, and second of all, were vocal. So, right at the beginning of the game, he's saying the Dukes. We're going to break. I think we were going to break, and he says the Dukes of James Madison, the Dukies. We'll be right back, or something like that. And so then we were affectionately calling them the Duke,
like a Green Day album,
like a Dookie, and so we were thinking of it as
Duke
University, the Dukies.
Yeah.
Looking back on it, you could misconstrue that as something else.
Excrement.
a bodily function.
Yes, we don't even need to clarify. Like,
we weren't calling them.
We're all from the 90s.
We weren't calling them that.
Yes, you
We
were.
never clarified that, but boy, did we get lit up.
Anyway.
And one of the comments was about me in particular doing. I was the analyst that game. Alema was. Who knows? We don't know where Alema was.
Yeah.
He was doing something very important.
Yeah.
That day.
And looking nice doing it.
And looking very nice doing it. And so I as the analyst got particular direct feedback directed at me. Clearly, you've never played the game. You don't know what's going on. So,
who said that?
James
a Dookie.
Madison. A Dookie.
Said you've never played the game, you don't know what's going on.
Yeah, Dookie from James Madison.
This Fox guy, he's got a good grasp on things, but
Yeah,
this other dude.
But this guy never played the game. Clearly.
Okay,
Anyway.
Frank, on an interest level, or screw interest. On an excitement level, 1 to 10.
10. About this game?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm a 10. I'm a 10 because
I am too.
I think there's for both teams, there's a lot of questions still to be answered. And obviously, I'm most interested in the questions about Utah and what will develop in this football game. I think it's a very interesting matchup in lots of ways. I think position groups for Utah are going to be tested like they haven't been tested previously. And I'm really curious to see how they manage this scenario after coming off of a fairly light 3-game stretch.
Yeah. And you could say the same thing about Texas Tech.
You could say the same thing about Texas Tech. We didn't know UCLA was going to be
trash.
that bad. So that just was circumstantial. But Utah clearly the best of those in those 3 games, and now we'll see if what they have been doing on both sides of the ball is really going to hold up. And I'm really curious to watch that.
So, how much when we do this show again next week? How much do you think we'll know more about the University of Utah?
A lot. We should know a lot more. This is a Texas Tech offensive unit that's pretty confident and statistically very productive against a Utah defense that has at times felt dominant, but has also given up interesting plays, has given up big plays here and there, and so I'm curious to see how they react if they get under pressure, and I think they'll find themselves under pressure this week. So, are they going to be able to survive or thrive with a 4-man rush? I mean, that's ideally what they'd like to do.
That's what it's going to come down to. Yeah.
If they can thrive under that scenario, if they're going to have to bring additional pressure, if they are going to be able to eliminate big plays. I mean, Texas Tech could be considered a big play type of offensive unit. Are they going to be able to eliminate big plays? I think we've seen Utah give up some big plays on the defensive side. All of those things I think they'll be tested.
Oh, yeah.
I think they'll be tested, and how will Utah react?
What's interesting is Texas Tech and Utah have the same amount of sacks through the season and have given up the same amount of sacks through the season. They both have 9 sacks on the season. They both have given up 2 sacks on the season. So this is kind of a test.
It is.
For both. To say, all right, we both showing great trench play. Let's go see who's got the better trench. Now, the good thing is you've got it on your field. You've got it in front of your crowd. You've got it on your terms. So that's a nice boost. I will say that the guys for Utah that are getting this done, they're young. The Cash Dillon sack, the 5 sacks from John Henry Daly. These are young guys that are racking up the sacks. Now, Logan Fano is getting back and getting healthy, and Logan's going to turn into that machine. But these are young guys, and it's like, okay. Now, let's see if you can go get those sacks against a senior right tackle and a junior left tackle for Texas Tech that are each making $825,000 to block you. Can you do it?
Let's go.
Because they paid money.
A lot of money
for those tackles.
But that is the fascinating thing about where we are in college football today, is that a team that may not have been historically very, very highly viewed, like a Texas Tech, kind of, lots of success, some down times. If they get a booster or a few boosters who are interested in having a really good football program, they could change their fortunes overnight.
Yeah,
by buying a team.
Which they did this last. They had one booster, ton of oil money. He's like, you know what? I'm tired of this. Let's go.
And so there you go.
He was making the rounds of Big 12 Media Day. He was doing interviews. He's like, yeah, I'm spending all this money.
Did he have a big hat?
You would think so, but no. Had a big head, though. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
He had a big wallet.
Yes, he did.
He was about a foot taller when he stood on his wallet.
Right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Nobody gets you ready for Utah football more than the KSL Sports Zone.
Ready?
Kyle Whittingham and the Utes open up Big 12 play with a huge game against Texas Tech. Catch a special Ute edition of College Football Saturday starting at 8 a.m. Your home for the best coverage of Utah football is right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. This is Hans Olsen and Scotty G. Presented by Mountain Land Supply on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Hans and Scotty, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Hey, make sure to join Jake and Ben coming up on Tuesday from 10 to noon at Belliston Jewelry in Ogden. 1155 36th Street. Belliston Jewelry, locally made just for you, cherished for generations.
Okay, I did something for the two of you. Just purely out of interest.
Yes.
In what we talked about with Texas Tech spending. I have compiled the players and where they're from. You want to go through it real quick?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. All right.
Okay, we'll start with Quentin Joyner. Now, he was supposed to be their starting running back, but he's injured. And as we all know, came from USC.
Correct.
But is out for this game, for what I understand. Okay, their leading receiver, Reggie Virgil, is from Maryland. Their second leading receiver, Caleb Douglas, is from Florida. Their leading receiving tight end, Terrence Carter, is from Louisiana. Their second leading tight end, Jason Llewellyn, is from Oklahoma. Their starting left tackle is from UNC. Their starting left guard is from Maryland. Their starting right guard is from Memphis. Their starting defensive tackles are from Northern Illinois and Auburn. Their starting D-end is from Houston. Their starting linebacker is from Virginia. Their other starting linebacker is from USC. One of their top tacklers that is a backup linebacker is from Oregon. Their starting DBs are from Mississippi State, UTEP, UNC. They've got their rotators are from Baylor and Purdue. Their specialists, how about this one? Their kicker, Arizona State. Their punter, Weber State. This is the Texas Tech team. Now, their quarterback, born and bred Texas Tech, Red Raider through and through. But I'm just trying to make the point. You know, you heard all these schools, Auburn's, we're talking Big Tens, SEC, ACC schools. They're pulling the talent. And there's a few born and breds. There are, like John Curry, their linebacker, born and bred.
3.
Like 3.
Yeah.
But is that not a crazy list?
Yeah,
of
that's crazy.
Big talent that they've pulled in. And I know, every school definitely has their transferred talent and where they've come from, but Texas Tech went and spent a lot of money to try to win.
Well, to contrast that, I mean, Scotty, we're going to talk about a team on Saturday in Utah State that has how many? They've built their built their roster around, but
if you include missionaries, 87.
87 with missionaries, but it's slightly different because I think that in terms of what Texas Tech did in building their roster with transfers had a lot of dollars behind it.
A lot of dollars.
Yes. A lot of dollars.
Well, what did he say? $55 million.
$55 million. What?
Yeah. Well, he said $55 million for the athletic department, and that includes revenue sharing. So I think ultimately you're looking at probably that's about a $30 to $35 million football roster.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, that's
in Utah. I'll bet Utah's under 20.
I would not doubt that at all.
I'll bet Utah might be under 15.
Yeah. So it's an interesting question.
No, I don't think they'd be under 15.
It's an interesting question to see how schools universities like Texas Tech, who have a donor who's just like, I'm tired of this. Here's a whole bunch of money. Be good.
Ready, break.
Yeah. Versus schools that aren't willing or don't have the resources, who have maybe even traditionally been pretty good, where they end up and how it all realigns. So anyway, I don't know. I always say I'm not a fan of NIL, but it does create these very interesting circumstances.
You know what else about Texas Tech we have not talked about?
What?
So Joey McGuire, he's the mainstay, right?
Yes.
But he went out and hired new coordinators.
Uh-huh. Oh, yeah.
He fired both coordinators, and he hired a new offensive coordinator in Mac Leftwich, who we're very familiar with, and he went out and hired a new defensive coordinator in Shill Wood. And he just felt like, hey, they're not getting it done, and we've got this new talent. We're going to take it to the next level. How much money can you get me for coordinators? Because I'll go get a couple coordinators. They're going to cost me just like the players are costing me.
Right.
But if you want some difference, then I'll go get us difference.
Let's go get it. If I have the resources to spend on it, then he'll go do it. And he's done that. Have you guys looked at the tail of the tape? I always love when they include that segment in the game notes of the comparisons between the two teams.
Do it. Share.
Points per game. Texas Tech.
58?
Yeah. 58. What do you think Utah's averaging points per game?
Have they broken 40?
They're 45.7.
Ooh, all right.
I know. I thought that was really interesting. This one's good. Texas Tech is giving up 11.7 points per game. Utah, 8.3. I don't think that's going to hold.
No.
I don't think that's going to hold this weekend. Rush yards per game. Now, this to me is a key statistic coming out of the game against Texas Tech. Will Utah be able to run the ball effectively? Right now, averaging almost 300 yards per game on the ground. 290. Texas Tech, 219. Passing yardage per game, a little bit different. 383 yards per game for Texas Tech, 221 yards per game for Utah. So total offense, 600, essentially 600 to 500. 600 for Texas Tech, 500 per game for Utah. That offensive side, I think there's obviously a lot of interesting storylines on the Texas Tech offensive side versus Utah's defense. But I think even more compelling is this the first real test of Utah's offensive line and skill positions?
Yes.
Yeah, Utah and Texas Tech.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah, that's true.
Texas Tech, their show at Billy Bob's Barbecue right now, they're saying the same thing. They're like, what do we know about our team?
Pine Bluff, Kent State, and Oregon State. Oregon State might be the worst Division I program in the country. They are horrible. Kent State, nobody. Pine Bluff, that's a JUCO.
Pretty much, yeah.
Or is it a high school? So I'm efforting
right now.
We know more about Utah than we know Texas Tech.
Actually,
yes, I agree.
Wyoming was more of a tale, I think. And now the first half wasn't great.
Did you see anything in that first half that you thought was really meaningful for Utah offensively? I know they missed the field goals, but that still would have only been 9-0. Like, what did Utah do offensively in the first half?
It was this. To me, it was really penalties, untimely penalties, just shooting themselves in the foot, drop ball.
Uh-huh.
Huh? A fumble on the 5-yard line.
Hey, look, Lloyd's here. Hi, Lloyd.
Hey, we missed you, Lloyd. But I just felt like it was mistake after mistake.
It felt more self-inflicted.
Very much.
That's what I was
Very
asking.
much.
Yeah, that's what I was asking.
I talked about this. People ask me, "Are you worried about it?" The first half of Wyoming. No, I'm not, because they figured it out and they picked it up.
Mm-hmm.
So, no, I'm not overly worried about it.
Okay. It makes for a more compelling.
Okay, I'll tell you what does worry me. I did not like the missed field goals. Now they were all in the 40s, but you're giving this guy a nickname, and if you got to rely on this kicker, at this point I don't know. Can you rely on him? I don't know.
No, you can't rely on him.
Because Texas Tech, there's a good chance.
Yeah, this could go down to the wire.
There is a damn good chance Devon Dampier is going to get you to the 32-yard line in the final seconds of this game, and here comes Legatron.
The Murray Missile.
Why?
No, you call him that when he makes kicks, Lloyd.
Why?
It's true.
I think right now you have to take away the nickname. Like you earn a nickname and then you get it taken away because of poor performance. That was poor performance. And then he's going to have to earn it back.
You have to earn your nickname.
Yeah. Yeah, that nickname is, I mean, the kickoffs look great.
Oh, that's awesome. That's great.
And he did kick the one he kicked wide right probably would have been good from 60. The one he doinked off the upright, that was 3/4 of the way up the upright from 46 or 45.
What happened to the one that got blocked? Did he just kick it too low? Because there was one blocked.
I know.
Yeah. That's right.
It looked to me that just
Hands wants
good
to blame
pressure.
Hands wants to blame the kicker.
I know. I'm not. You and I are aligned on that. I'd like to figure out a way to blame
I'm pretty sure the snapper's butt blocked it.
It was that low.
Bounced right off the snapper's butt.
I'm pretty sure that didn't happen.
It was that low.
But that would have been amazing.
A worm burner. Yeah. It's like me off the first tee box.
Just caught it a little thin.
Cedar Hills.
You bring that driver out on a par 3.
Caught a little
chili
thin.
dipper.
A little chili dipper.
Yeah.
Cutting the heads off snakes as my ball flies through.
Well, I think that what I was trying to get at was, did you think it was self-inflicted, or did Wyoming do something to literally slow down that Utah offense?
How many yards did they have offensively in the first half? Was it 3? It was over 3.
Yeah,
it was
they
like
had
320 or something.
Oh, I know. That's the other end. Okay, I'm glad you brought that up, because there was, if you looked at just the yardage number, the
offense was going.
Statistically, you're like, they came out of that with 3 points. So
they're fine.
Oh, hey,
they're fine.
Hey,
okay.
You were talking about the numbers?
Yeah.
I wanted to give you this one because I gave this to Scotty on Tuesday. And this is the big change. Scotty, do you have the 2024 red zone numbers?
Yeah, they were ranked 110th.
Okay, 110th.
Scoring touchdowns inside the red zone. I want to say 48%.
Out of 109 teams, 110.
Frank, do you know how many red zone attempts they've had and how many red zone touchdowns they've had?
I don't know how many red zone attempts they've had.
16.
But I think they have 16 touchdowns.
15.
15. Yeah, that was something like that. Oh.
They are scoring 93% of the time. Touchdowns.
Yeah.
And like Scotty said, last year there were 5 teams that were 70%.
Mm-hmm.
Now, they're not going to be 93%.
No.
But if they can
stay in the 70s.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
Now, I do like what we see in the red zone. And I will tell you, when you've got a guy like Dampier and you've got these unknown but now learning about tight ends, the Buchanans and the Andrews.
I love it.
The
emergence of the tight ends.
They're having to learn about these guys really fast because you've got 2 receivers that can maneuver. You got a couple of tight ends that are unknowns that now you got to worry about them in a freaking wildcat with Devon Dampier on motion out of the slot. And it's like, all right, what are we going to do in the red zone? Figure it out.
Hans and Scotty, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Coming up next, we'll continue to get you ready for what should be a premier game, not just in the Big 12, but across college football. Utah, Texas Tech. It's all right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Let's go! Complete game coverage of the Cougars is right here on the KSL Sports Zone. The Cougars head east for a huge non-conference showdown against East Carolina. Your home for the best coverage of Cougar football is right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. This is Hans Olsen and Scotty G, presented by Mountain Land Supply on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Hans and Scotty, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Here's the thing, Frank. You have a camera on you. That little box right there, that's a little camera. This? Yes. And so Lloyd just wanted you to put your mic down so that we could all see your beautiful smiling face. Well, put your mic up.
Can you hear me?
No, we cannot hear you.
Lloyd asked me to move my mic.
He said move it down a hair.
Lloyd didn't ask me to move it down. Lloyd asked me to move the mic down because he was tired of me talking into it.
Well, that could have been his first thought, but I do think he's talking about the camera.
Also, Frank knows people with long hair. So, a hair to Frank might be like a long woman's hair.
Like when I look at, I hope you guys are on camera right now, because when I look at you guys, I
Move it down to Hans's hair.
How often do you shave that? When did you start shaving that? How often?
Well, I shaved it out of interest that it felt better in a helmet my sophomore year in college.
Uh-huh.
And then
Were you losing it your sophomore year in college?
My sixth year in professional football, I tried to grow it back, and it didn't come back. And I was like, that's not good looking with the widow peaks, and it looked like a teacup plate on the back of my head. So I was like, I'll just shave it. So I've shaved it ever since. I tried to grow it back once.
Yeah, you did. When we started the show.
We started the show, and we took one picture, and then they used that as my picture forever, and it looked horrible.
It looked good.
How about you, Frank? Because Scotty and I got a hold of a picture of you.
Oh, yeah.
With Bill Marcroft in the booth?
No, it was you were posing with a fan.
It was like a young lady.
Wearing a turtleneck.
Yeah. I was wearing a turtleneck?
Yeah.
And you had a beautiful mane.
That was never
like
true. The only time
Mufasa.
I had reasonably
Mufasa
hair, like that was in high school. That was the last time I remember having hair that was like, oh yeah, this is good hair.
Mufasa. You look like Mufasa. And what's crazy is you were a redhead.
Not a lot of Italian redheads.
I know.
Okay. Yeah. You're going down the avenue of the Texas Tech sideline reporter. Fake news. Like, by the way, could you believe what he said?
Lloyd.
No, I couldn't believe it. That's why we asked him, did he say it? And he said, no, he didn't.
Well, he said it, but there was a lot of other things that he said that got cut out.
Mm-hmm. It was a good quote.
It was a great quote.
Here's the problem. We could have had every Utah fan that's going to be attending Rice-Eccles Stadium at 10 a.m. Sunday listening, and they wouldn't have cared.
No.
They're still going to hold it against him.
Oh, yeah.
And they're going to hold it against Texas Tech, and they're going to boo him, and they're going to make it a real nasty place to try to play football.
I hold it against him because he never should have said a combination of words that could have been cut up that way.
Oh, so that's his fault. Yeah. It's fair enough. See, that's what Lloyd does when he cuts up our stuff and makes us look bad.
Don't I know?
Yeah, he's like,
don't I know?
He's like, well, you said a combination of words that I could cut together and make that sound. So ultimately, it's your fault.
You said all these words.
Yes, maybe not in that order, but
Scotty, you have accidentally used a couple of foul words. I will say, Lloyd didn't edit these. He just beeped out a couple of words.
Whoa. This is Fox News.
Yeah. You remember when we were listening to that kind of news?
Whoops.
Yep. Yep. Dump button.
Jeez.
See,
got the yips right
there. I thought you'd have my back on this.
I'm sorry. Now I feel bad. He didn't really say that, Frank.
Yeah.
I heard it. I just heard it with my own ears.
I want all of you guys to go to Fox Hollow Golf and play golf.
I don't even think we have that one anymore. That got lost on the hard drive that was supposed to be handed over.
Yeah. right here on The Zone.
Their battle for the Aggies, and the KSL Sports Zone has it covered. The Aggies look for a win this Saturday as they take on McNeese State. Your home for all the play-by-play coverage of Aggie football is right here on 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone. This is Hans Olsen and Scotty G, presented by Mountain Land Supply on 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone.
Hans and Scotty, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. It's a Thursday, which means it's a Ute Preview Show. Then on Friday, it's a Football Friday. Hans, myself, the legend, Ron McBride, and some guy named Alema Harrington, we will all hang out, and we will break down this weekend's games. Fired up for that. Always a lot of fun down there at RGS Exteriors, committed to excellence, just like the Raiders, but better.
But they actually execute.
Yeah, but they actually deliver what they say they're going to.
Excellent. Once upon a time, it was meaningful.
The commitment to excellence. Yeah.
Yeah, and then it
no.
wasn't
Nope.
anymore.
All right. One thing I think we can all agree on, this should be one heck of a game coming up on Saturday.
Should be. Yeah.
And we don't know much about Texas Tech. We don't know how good they are, but frankly, we don't know how good Utah is. They both looked really good at times, and I mean, you're right, Hans. Oregon State is trash, and Texas Tech is just – they played 3 scrimmages.
Kent State's horrible. Pine Bluffs is nobody knows. Again, I really think we know more about Utah than we know about Texas Tech.
Could be fair. Yeah.
Maybe.
But Texas Tech has not had a half like Utah had against Wyoming, but, we kind of went over that. We hashed it out. I think that –
You think it's an anomaly.
I think it's an anomaly.
There was a lot of mistakes.
Yep.
Untimely penalties.
I think there's going to be some nice
missed field goals.
Coaching opportunities in that.
Yeah, opportunities for improvement. Okay, so if Utah can't, what is your concern about Utah if they can't run the football? If Utah can't run the ball effectively, what is your concern? Or do you have a concern?
I have a massive concern if they can't run the football. But there's no reason why they shouldn't. If you have what Kyle Whittingham believes to be the best offensive line in the country, you should be able to run the ball on anybody.
So
I don't disagree with that, but
one thing about the run that comes to mind, the way that Jason Beck uses the run, where he's using defenders in different fly motions on fly sweep gives. By the way, what I mean is that you're using defensive personnel like Smith Snowden. Or he's using jumbo set and he's using a power off the jumbo set where you've got a couple of different running backs and a quarterback as a run option. Okay, so if the run starts to jam up a little bit and Texas Tech starts to clog gaps and make the interior a problem, well, then start flipping the ball out to the perimeter. And I'm not saying going full Mike Leach, but
use your passing game as a running game.
Yes, using some of those outside push passes into different screen sets where maybe you've got some tight ends that are lined up and you're working inside screen sets. But I don't think that you vacate just your typical run game. The problem is if I'm a defensive end or if I'm a linebacker and I'm watching the different motions that they've got with the different personnel they've got. I mean, how many different bodies have we seen in motion? Probably 7, 6 or 7, right?
I think that's accurate.
And you don't know based off of who's in motion what type of run it's going to be. So I feel like there's enough of a mix there that Texas Tech might be able to slow them down, but the run game is still going to go get you 185 to 220 yards against Texas Tech, I believe. Even though their rushing defense currently is number 2 in the country, holding teams to 41 yards. Yeah, that's Kent State.
Yeah, that's Oregon State.
That's Oregon State. They can't run against anybody.
Arkansas, Pine Bluff.
So I still think Utah's going to go get 185 to 220.
What's the basement number? Like what is the you have to be at this number in the running game? Is it 185?
It's 185.
185.
Yeah,
okay.
185.
It has to be there.
Yeah, they're averaging 290 yards.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
To me, it's 185 because 185 tells me, okay, I'm putting Devon Dampier in opportunities to take shots because I want to see Devon take some shots, and I want to see him take the shots off the run. I actually think he's better at taking downfield shots when he's on the move, on bootlegs, naked, play action looks that put him outside the pocket. He can fire a go route really well in that setting. So give me some of that. But, yeah, I think 185 is my basement.
So I think we all agree that if Utah is struggling to run the ball, then there's concern.
Massive concern, yeah.
Okay, so if you're Texas Tech, wouldn't you think the same thing? And wouldn't you then load up the line of scrimmage to try and take away the run?
I just think Dampier right now, I think he's too versatile to do that. I think he's too versatile because now what I'm going to do is I'm going to play action right into your loaded set. Mm-hmm. I'm going to play action into it, hard play action, really drag the mesh point, and then I'm going to roll Dampier out, and I'm going to hit drop points.
So I think that is the thing. I mean, I don't think of Dampier as a classic thrower of the football. Like he's not drop back, sit in the pocket, and hit a bunch of 15 to 20 yard throws downfield and keep a defense honest that way. But I also think you're right that if the traditional run game is being managed by Texas Tech, that Dampier brings other elements in the passing game that is not necessarily drop back and sit in a pocket, throw the ball downfield. I do believe that, yeah. And that also puts pressure on the defensive side, but puts a defensive backfield in a bind. And so I think that's exactly where I would go with it as well.
But to your point, though, Frank, I think you're spot on. If I'm Joey McGuire at Texas Tech, I'm like, how do I want to lose to Utah?
Yeah.
And I do not want to lose to them running the ball 40 times at 6.2 yards per average. Mm-hmm. If I'm going to lose to them, I'm going to lose to them making Devon Dampier throw the ball or them having to be really creative with the running game.
But the good news is
Utah can do that.
I can still win that way.
Yes, yeah. But I would rather I'd rather if you were going to pick your poison with Utah, wouldn't you rather say, okay, you know what? I'm going to put the ball in the hands of the New Mexico transfer and see if he can do it. Yeah. And I think he can. You're right.
But that's what I'm going to make him do.
That's what I'm going to make him do.
I think you're right. If Utah runs the ball for 250, if they run the ball for 290 yards, I think Utah wins that game easily.
On the flip side of that, if I'm Utah, I'm saying, well, I'm not just going to let them bludgeon me to death with passing yards. They pass for almost 400 yards a game. At least they have through these three trash games.
Yes.
But they pass for almost. So I'm saying you're not going to just sit there and be comfortable. And if I can't get there with my 4-man rush, which you've been able to do, then I'll figure out different forms.
Okay, so that's the other interesting question on that side of the ball is Utah if Utah can pressure and disrupt with a 4-man rush.
It's over.
That's
Game's
ideal.
Over.
That's ideal.
Yeah.
Okay, but if Utah starts to, if it gets to a point where Utah has to bring pressure, now Utah will bring pressure because that's the nature of the defense. But if they are in a situation where they have to bring pressure to be disruptive in the offensive backfield and in the passing game, how confident are you in the Utah defensive backfield at this point in the season to manage a receiving group that is pretty talented, really talented?
That would be probably my biggest question mark. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd say. But I also feel like you're going to get there with 4 more often than not.
Well, they'll
go max protect a little bit, I'm sure.
Yeah, to see how that unfolds, that's one of those.
So is that the biggest storyline? The biggest storyline of the game? What's your biggest matchup that you're looking forward to seeing?
I would do it offensively and defensively. So if Utah can get home with 4, then I think that game is won. If Utah is forced into pressure, does the defensive backfield hold up?
That to me is the big one right there.
And then on the other side is if Utah is rushing the ball for 2.5 yards a carry, that's like, oh no, that's a yikes.
So let me give you the matchups in the one-on-ones, but with John Henry Daly, Cash Dillon, Logan Fano, former Utah State guy, Fitzgerald. I'll give you the matchups. It's a freshman. He's a 4-star freshman, and he starts at right tackle. His name's Jacob Ponton. He's 6'8", 305 pounds. Again, 4-star freshman. He grades really high. Like so far, he's graded really high. Again, he has not faced a dog, and there's 3 dogs that I can rotate on him. Mm-hmm. So, what I think is I've got 3 dudes that I think can get there 1 out of 3 times on him on pass sets, on drops. I think I can beat him with 1 of 3 different guys. On the left side, it's a junior. He's the transfer out of UNC. And his name's Howard Sampson, 6'8", 340. Both are 6'8", both are 300 plus, both are big boys. I think that he is, overall, he is a higher ranked lineman. He's got a little bit more experience. But again, I don't think that he's a Willie Rofe.
That's a pull.
Yeah.
Great player.
I don't think he is a Willie Rofe, but I also don't think he's a bum. But I think I can get there. So if I feel like, okay, out of 5 drop back passes, I feel like I can win a one-on-one 2 out of the 5. I can win a one-on-one 2 out of the 5 to give me pressure. Then I can rush a 4-man, and I can make all kinds of coverage adjustments and make it hell for you.
Hey, by the way, what is a success rate that you want on that? Is it 2 out of 5? Is it
how many per drop back?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good question.
I know. That's why I got my mind. When you're starting throwing numbers around like that, I'm like, I wonder if there's like a number you want to.
On pressures?
Yeah.
I need 6 out of 10.
Oh, okay.
60%.
So pressure 60% of the time.
And I'm talking about the 5 across. So if I'm running 4 rushes, then 60% of the time I have got to get a pressure.
Somebody's got to get there.
Yes.
And we're not talking sacks, just pressures.
Yeah. If I'm going to run a one-on-one, 60% of the time. And then if I'm not getting there to pressure, then at the very least I need to be able to bull rush my man to the quarterback to at least create a little bit of hesitation from him. But yeah.
Who at this point has been the biggest, your most pleasant surprise or the most productive defensive lineman so far?
It's John Henry Daly.
I knew you were going to say that.
He leads the country in sacks.
I knew you were going to say that.
Are you ashamed that I said it? Are you upset that I said it?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, just because it was you who said it.
He leads that. I mean, you know.
So do you think that's good?
I would say 5 sacks through
pretty good.
3 games.
It's all right.
Is pretty darn.
Number 1 in the country. That's fine.
That's pretty darn.
How about the
good.
Utah? Did we go through this already? We went through the Utah ties with that defensive line.
Yeah,
like Utah high school. Yeah,
all homegrown.
I know.
Did you know the number 2 sacker in the country is at Utah State?
The number 2 sacker.
Number 2.
Yep. I get to see him.
It's 4 sacks, right?
John Miller, 4 sacks. Yeah.
I get to see him this weekend.
Yep, has had a sack in every game.
Big motor. What would you say about John Miller? Big motor. Tough guy.
No, well, undersized.
Yeah.
Tough guy, relentless.
Yeah.
Coach's
Jim
kid.
Rat.
No.
Coach's kid. All the stuff. You say all the stuff about John Miller, right?
Well, let's talk about John Miller. He is a 6'1", 225 transfer from Oregon State. was with the program last year. And according to Bronco Mendenhall, he and Miles Davis had the biggest transformation from spring ball into fall camp.
Bronco was on with us this week, and he said that he wasn't even in the two deep.
Yeah, coming out of spring.
Coming out of he said that he wasn't even sure if he was going to make it, and he's become he got. I love this story because he got very critical feedback and blunt feedback, and he took it all to heart. Yeah. And those are the things he went to work on, and now he's become what he is right now.
He said that about Miles.
He said that about Miles.
Miles Davis too. Yeah.
He said that about another guy he knew who never really took the criticism, and then didn't. By the way,
are you saying Hans doesn't take criticism?
Bronco and Cache Valley is like a match made in heaven.
Yeah.
And go Utes.
Hans and Scotty, 97.5, the KSL Sports.
Yeah, okay, go ahead.
What's happening?
Is this one of the ones?
Where are you?
Go ahead.
The Utah fans are clamoring for more Frank.
I feel like Bailey needs a little more time. And I'm going to give him some
Frank,
of my
he'll get his time. You can still hang out.
Bailey,
you know what?
Time.
We can do both. We can talk to Bailey about Mint Medical, about how he can change people's lives and put them back in mint condition, and how they need to call and claim those 5 nights in Hawaii.
Well,
and we can also talk Utah football with you.
People need to hear that message. 2 things. You can improve your life by speaking with Bailey, and you can improve your life by heading up to Rice-Eccles Stadium on Saturday morning at 10 a.m. to watch the Utes take on the Red Raiders of Texas Tech.
Bailey, you're doing a lot of good for a lot of our listeners, man, and we can't thank you enough. And we know that there's people that might be hesitant a little bit, but at the end of the day, we're talking about you, your life, your relationships, your health. These are all things that people need to take seriously.
That's right. And reigniting somebody's relationship, that is the most important part for most people. And so we help you do that. That acoustic wave therapy, like I said, it treats that root cause of the problem. And so, but we also have some things that can help with, that free intimacy gift. A lot of our patients come back and, like I said, the 3rd or 4th treatment, the spouse comes back and says, can we get some more of those?
Yeah.
That's been really helpful for our relationship as well.
The GLP-1s, I would say a good percentage of your clients probably are dealing with diabetic issues with ED.
That's right.
These GLP-1s regulate blood sugar, help lose weight, and so it can handle a lot of those issues that are caused by diabetes, where the end result was ED.
That's right. They're absolutely connected, and so ED is a blood flow issue, and diabetes is a lot of other issues, but if you can clear up one, it does help the other one. So we want to treat both.
And you mentioned the hormone treatment and the body sculpting thing. I think is really cool. A lot of people are taking advantage of that as well.
That's right. The body sculpting, which in about 40 minutes, we have hundreds and hundreds of before and after pictures that show you can lose about an inch within 40 minutes of that first treatment. And we throw in that free month of GLP-1s or hormone, your choice, with that.
Yeah. So, and if you become a client, you can gift that to your spouse, too.
That's right. You can do an ED treatment for you and have your spouse come in and get a body sculpting for her as well.
Yeah. I suggest you be very careful how you present that to your wife.
That's right. Be careful how you ask about her to join.
But it's available if you'd like to proceed with that. And, of course, all of you get to go to Hawaii as well.
That's right. And we have convenient locations in Layton and in Sandy, so hopefully we can address it wherever you're located.
We're talking about your health here, folks. We're talking about your relationships. A quality of life that you may have thought is in the rearview mirror can now be back in present with you and your significant others. 801-804-8000. Call right now. It's Mint Medical, 801-804-8000. Time to get you back into mint condition. Bailey and the crew's ready to help. 801-804-8000.
You ready for Utah football more than the KSL Sports Zone?
Ready?
Kyle Whittingham and the Utes open up Big 12 play with a huge game against Texas Tech. Catch a special Ute edition of College Football Saturday starting at 8 a.m. Your home for the best coverage of Utah football is right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. This is Hans Olsen and Scotty G, presented by Mountain Land Supply on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Hans and Scotty, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Normally I'd be saying Frank Dolce, but Frank has left the building. He's no longer with us.
Lack of commitment to the team.
When you make a commitment, a man keeps that commitment.
It's too bad because Utah fans really rely on Frank.
Yep.
But now they can't.
Nope. He was there, and then now he's gone.
Utah fans all have all these questions of, well, how's the team and where are we at? And Frank is the one person that can answer that.
Yeah.
And he left them.
And he left him hanging. We had a chance to chat with Chris Level. He hosts Locked On Texas Tech. He also is part of the broadcast crew for the Texas Tech Red Raiders, and apparently has been misquoted. We shared the quotes that were out there, but they were heavily edited. So when we started with Chris, I said, all right, Chris, I'm going to turn the mic over to you, and you can explain yourself what exactly happened here.
Well, I did say some stuff, and it was edited. How about that? Because I did a show about a week and a half ago, and I was asked about contenders in the league at this point. So this is before Tech had played Oregon State, before Utah had played Wyoming, and I think the point I was trying to make was like, we don't know anything about these two teams, and I really was kind of trying to lay the groundwork. Like, I don't know if we'll find out a bunch more coming up. And I said Texas Tech could go up to Utah and thump them, or Texas Tech could go up to Utah and get thumped. But guess what part, was shared everywhere. Yeah. And I did, yes. And so I mean, I'm not. I don't roll that way. I'm not trolling. I'm not trying to do. That's just not what I do. We try to keep it professional. So, and then I also misspoke in the same thing, which has also been picked up. I put a B and said Rice-Eccles 2 times before I realized my mistake. I corrected it on the show, apologized, and so everybody's kind of had a field day with that I didn't say Rice-Eccles. And again, it was an honest mistake. I botched it. I've owned it. I've admitted it, and I wasn't trying to be anyway. But yeah, that's the end. You're caught up.
Well, Chris, you and I go back to the old Matt Wells days there at Texas Tech, and I've known you forever. And so when these things started popping up on Twitter, I'm like, that doesn't sound like Chris,
And that's not what
because you're a pro's pro. And here's the thing, like we screw up names all the time. The Rice-Eccles thing, I don't give two what's about that. But yeah, it's good to see that that's clarified because frankly, the last thing you want to do when you're around a broadcast of a team, and Hans does BYU and I do Utah State, is provide any kind of locker room or bulletin board material for the team that your team's playing against.
Right. Yeah, and I there's some nameless, faceless Utah fan Twitter accounts that have had a lot of field day with this. And anyway, and I dealt with it mostly last week. Like, I was getting all these people contacting me in my mentions and all this stuff. And I was like, I don't even know what's going on here. And then before I realized what had happened, and it's unfortunate. I've tried to answer every interview request, whether it's podcast or radio interview like this one. You guys are awesome, and I remember talking to you guys. And it's funny you mentioned Matt Wells. I texted with him 2 days ago, and he's still good people. They're obviously struggling in Manhattan, but he's good people. And I had nothing but a wonderful experience when we went to BYU 2 years ago. I think they've been one of the best additions to the Big 12 conference. So yeah, I mean, anyway, I hate that that's how this was portrayed, but that's not, because I have nothing but respect for Utah and what Coach Whittingham has done and all the things. But anyway, hey, people take their football seriously, so hey, that part is good, because this is the Utah fan base is clearly fired up, and then that's obviously a good thing for the league.
Well, Chris, I want to fill you in a little bit because we're a tested community. The state of Utah is very touchy about their college football. And at one point in time, Chris, we had 3 fully staffed sports radio stations operating for essentially 2, but really 3 college football teams between BYU, Utah, and Utah State. And it keeps the lights on, and our football fans are crazy. And I will tell you, Chris, it's kind of crazy. I feel like we're all still in the dating stage in this new conference, like learning about each other and learning who's got the hot head and who's got the big mouth and who's got the ego. And Texas Tech right now, it's all been highlighted because they went out, they bought some talent, and it seems like they bought some great talent. Talk about all the talk about the purchasing and the talent that Texas Tech got? And has it been overinflated like a lot of these stories are?
Yeah, I mean, that's certainly – I think Texas Tech was maybe there's a variety of ways that you can look at this. They were very transparent, and I think they wanted to tell their story. Have the numbers been inflated? Absolutely. I've been asked, so you spent $55 million on your football program? Well, no. They spent $55 million in total on the athletic department, but that also includes rev share. So they basically spent – $30-something million on football, basketball, softball, and all the other things. And then this was back before the rules changed. And then they probably were on the high end compared, but they weren't the only ones. We know what Oregon's doing, and Ohio State's doing, and Ole Miss is doing, and Texas A&M is doing, and Texas is doing. I just think Texas Tech was more transparent with what they were doing. I think they were, whether they were trying to create a buzz or just being asked questions and answering them honestly. But it's kind of taken on a life of its own for sure. And I think I think they're a buzzy team. I think there's probably a target on their back in some ways. I think some people were envious. Some people were jealous. Some people were I think some people said, hey man, these are the rules. They're playing by them. Like, I respect it. Because everybody's got wealthy donors. That every institution in the country at the Power 4 level has wealthy donors. They just had, and I'll tell you where a lot of this came from, guys, is that they are fairly embarrassed around here by having never made an appearance in the Big 12 title game. And they got so close last year. Had they beaten Colorado in mid-November, they would have punched their ticket and played in Arlington for the Big 12 title for the very first time. And I think because they didn't win that game and they fell one game short, I think there was a lot of motivation here. And so it just makes you wonder if they'd have played for their Big 12 championship last year, if you wouldn't have this kind of off season. I mean, I don't know if we know that, but I think they were very motivated, which has led to it. But it's being motivated because they have failed over the last, since Mike left. Really, it's been up and down. And Coach Wells had some good and some bad. Cliff Kingsbury had some good and some bad. Tommy Tuberville had some, but they just haven't been able to sustain it. And Joey got them really close last year, and so that's where I think in total where a lot of this comes from. But their funds were motivated. How about that? And it's because they haven't gotten to where they wanted to go.
So 3 games, 3-0, all 3 lopsided victories. Oregon State's about the only team that you could look at and say, okay, well, that's at least got some name recognition, but we know they're struggling and they're in a bad spot. How much do you actually know about this team right now after the first 3 games?
These were glorified scrimmages,
yeah.
Really. I mean, and the other oddity here is that in 2 of the 3, there was a lengthy rain delay in both of them, which also adds this weird layer to, it's the rain delay in football is just a tricky deal because got to warm up again, got to rev it up again, got to get excited again, and the whole thing. You gear up for this game at this time and everything. You're training toward the kickoff, and then it's like, okay. I mean, last week it was 2.5 minutes into the game, and then everybody sat around for 2.5 hours. I think it was 2 hours, 24 minutes, which is just it's a mess. But they came out, took care of business. I would say that there's nothing that was said or written about their team to this point that I could dispute. However, because I think people think they're pretty good, and I have nothing that I've seen that would suggest to me that they can't be pretty good if they aren't very good. But we don't ultimately know. It's all about context. Beating up on Kent State and UAPB and Oregon State, man, they had better athletes than the first 2 teams, but they're a bit of a mess. And I feel sorry for what's happened with Oregon State and Washington State being kind of left out of this deal. It's just unfortunate, but I just don't know if you can glean too much from that. And I think that both teams can probably say the same thing this weekend, because I think that you'll both get the first real test in a lot of ways. And there's probably things that either coach doesn't necessarily know about his team, or maybe assume that they did know, that they're going to find out was not the case.
Is Baron Martin the real deal?
Baron is very good. I think that the knock on him has been, can he stay healthy? And last year he played all 12 regular season games, but did so with kind of not a healthy shoulder. And so he lacked arm strength. And and he was pretty good. I think he would be the first one to tell you, I need to play better. But a lot of that just has to do with his arm strength. He's played flawless at this point. Again, it's about context. He should be. He's got legit weapons around him. I mean, this is part of what they brought in. They've got, I think they feel very strongly about 3 really good 6'3" receivers. They brought in a tight end named Terrence Carter that's been a fascinating matchup for everybody to have to deal with. And they still brought back one of their tight ends in John Carlos Miller. And if he has time, he'll be a problem. And if he gets pressured, he'll make, a mistake, I mean, that's just with most quarterbacks. But this is a grown man. I mean, he's, been in this program for 5 years now, and he's matured and he's healthy. And so I think that he's well aware of the doubters out there. And, when everybody was talking about the best quarterbacks in the league all summer, he wasn't included in a lot of those conversations, even though I think he threw for 27 touchdowns last year and just to 8 interceptions, and led his team to 8 regular season wins. He's a very motivated young man, and I think he is pretty good. I'm curious to see how far he can take it. I'll say that. But if he doesn't play well Saturday, I don't know if I like their chances.
So what's the vibe there in Lubbock about the Utes? Obviously, last year, not the season they would have liked in their first year in the Big 12, but it does appear Kyle Whittingham has righted the ship, and that defense is playing lights out and have added a dynamic quarterback in Devon Dampier. So overall, what is the vibe there in what they're anticipating seeing from Utah?
Well, they know they're going to see a dominant offensive line. I think they're everybody around here is very curious about Devon Dampier and knows what a playmaker he is. And I think everybody around here can. And I'm hosting Coach McGuire's radio show tonight, and this is a lot of what we'll talk to him about. Is the defense? How good is it going to be? How does it stack up when you're going against a real line and a real QB that can make you pay if you can't corral him? And if he has time, can he spread it out to some of his weapons and all those kinds of things? But I think everybody around here, because the defense around here last year was not very good. I mean, that's part of what their motivation was with what they were trying to put together. They couldn't get to the quarterback. They were like 122nd in pass defense in the country, so they just scrapped it. Joey made a move with a different coordinator, and they brought in 5 new defensive linemen, and then they brought in 5 new DBs. So, and I think Sheil Wood, the coordinator who came from Houston, they had a top 25 defense last year, and I think he's kept it fairly simple because he likes his players, and he's like, we don't have to out-scheme anybody here. We're good enough to – but they brought in some folks that are not even starting that were starters elsewhere in the Big 12 Conference. So like A.J. Holmes is a defensive tackle. He started at Houston last year, and he's a second-string guy right now. That just kind of gives you an idea of some of their depth or what they were trying to put together. So that's the biggest question around here. Is the defense, is it, in fact, good enough, or is it just pretty good but not quite good enough to go win you a Big 12 title or contend for one?
Well, Chris, thanks for squaring us away with the comments, because we're pretty proud of that Rice-Eccles Stadium here in the state, and it gets wild. They don't need any more fuel on that fire, but this is awesome. I'll tell you, I love this Big 12. I can't even tell you how much I've loved going school to school. I'll be out there in Lubbock this year, so I'll get to shake your hand in that stadium and be on that call opposing you, and that'll be a blast. It's just one of those conferences that I think everybody could love and enjoy, because these are all communities, all schools that just love their college football.
Yeah, it's a great group of college towns. I think that we're still trying to figure out what Cincinnati and UCF are right now. I don't know if they've found their footing yet, but pretty much everybody else has made some news in the right way in either football or men's basketball, whatever it is. But I think this game right here, we're all fighting for relevance. And this game is one of, I don't know how many there will be in the league this year, but this is one of probably fairly few amount that is getting some national recognition, some national attention. And that's good for the Big 12. This is a relevancy battle as much as it is as anything else. But as we sit here in mid-September, there's, legit argument that you could make for 6 or 7, maybe even 8 teams that could win this league. And that's the beauty of it. Some people look at that as a negative, but I think we think it's wildly entertaining. And week to week, it's the best conference in the country because you just don't know what you're going to get.
Chris, you're Hans and Scotty, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Coming up next, we'll wrap up this bad boy straight ahead right here on The Zone.
Complete game coverage of the Cougars is right here on the KSL Sports Zone. The Cougars head east for a huge non-conference showdown against East Carolina. Your home for the best coverage of Cougar football is right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. This is Hans Olsen and Scotty G, presented by Mountain Land Supply on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Hans Olsen, Scott Gerard, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. All right, wrapping up another edition of the show. Utah, Texas Tech. I don't know what we're going to see. I think Utah wins this game, but Hans, I think in the immortal words of our guy from Gladiator, I think we're all going to be entertained.
It's going to be a great game. And it's two loaded rosters. It is, I said this Tuesday, I think. One of these two teams is going to play in the Big 12 championship.
I agree.
Possibly both, but one for sure. I think we're going to be looking at one of the Big 12 championship contenders.
Yes.
This is a great game for Utah to have at home. You need home field advantage in a game like this. And I still believe there is more unpredictability built in for Utah than there is for Texas Tech. I think with Texas Tech, I kind of feel like Baron Morton is what Baron Morton is.
Yeah. Even Chris Level was like, you know what? If you keep him upright, he'll be okay.
Yeah.
You pressure him.
Things might change. I kind of feel like I know what I'm getting from Cameron Dickey. I know what I'm getting, actually, and I know that I talked about the coordinators change, and I talked about hiring Mac Leftwich. So the defensive side of the ball is completely different. That defensive coordinator came from Houston, and he brought just a different flair. Mac Leftwich was an in-office hire. He was what was he, quarterbacks or wide receivers coach?
Yeah, I want to say, I think wide receiver coach.
So he was an in-office hire, so there are a lot of forms of already knowns. We have no idea what Jason Beck is capable of.
No.
We have no idea what Devon Dampier is capable of. But we do know that they are capable of chaos.
And what you've been pointing out for the last 3 weeks, they've been setting bear traps like crazy.
Bear traps all over the place.
Yeah.
So, time to spring a few of those. This is the type of game you spring the traps, you catch them flat-footed, and you go for the gold. My hope is when we jump on the headsets on Sunday morning, we're talking about a couple of wins.
Drinking some Bucked Up energy drinks.
Yeah.
And talking about some W's.
By the way, buckedup.com, promo code ZONE. It's going to get you 20% off. By the way, that's all of their product. So if you want some of the protein powders or you want the creatines, we're really proud of this new Bucked Up partnership.
And, please go check out their products. Go to buckedup.com and use the keyword ZONE, and it's going to save you 20% off. We'll be back with you tomorrow. Lemma Harrington, Ron McBride join us for a Football Friday right here on The Zone.